So this is your lecture video on section 6.2, rates and unit costs. A rate is a type of ratio used to compare different types of quantities. So in the last section, we worked with this idea of ratio. A ratio, just to remind you, we rewrote that as a fraction, A over B. It compares two quantities. And in the ratio, these were always like quantities. So we compared males to females, both humans, or the number of car spaces left in the parking lot, which were silver cars compared to not silver cars, but both were cars. So a ratio compares like quantities. A rate compares different quantities. For example, Trish took a typing test at the Career Center. She typed 91 words in 2 minutes. Here's what her rate looks like. Just notice that these two units are not the same. So this is a rate. If we would have said she typed 91 words and there are 400 words total that she needs to type, that would be a ratio because those would be like units. So again, just emphasizing that a ratio is like units and a rate, these are unlike units. The table below gives some examples of keywords that would imply we're intending a rate. So per, 217 miles per 3 hours. Per, you can interpret that as the fraction bar. $16.41 for 2 pounds. Or you could even say $16.41 per 2 pounds. 380 meters in 38.7 seconds. 250 miles on 13 gallons of gas. These are some very common ones. I would say per is the most common that you'll see, and these are some other ones. Write each rate in lowest terms. During a bad storm, there was 2 inches of rain in 6 hours. 2 inches in 6 hours. And then we would reduce that and get the fraction of 1 inch per every 3 hour. 50 students assigned to 4 advisors. And if we reduce that, we get the fraction 8 to 1. Now, numerically, that is the same thing as 8. If we want to see both numbers, we would leave it as this so we can see the actual rate. A unit rate is a rate having a denominator of 1. Note that the number 1 is often omitted in the denominator. Okay, so 20 miles per gallon. 3 pounds for $1, 232 words in 2 minutes, or 50 miles per gallon. Any ratio can be converted to a unit ratio by dividing. So in other words, if we have this fraction A over B, we can divide A divided by B and get whatever that unit fraction is. For example, write the given rate as a unit rate, round to the nearest hundredth when necessary. So 285 miles per 14 gallons. And on my calculator, I'm doing 285 divided by 14. And that's giving me a decimal that looks like this, but we see up here that we're rounding to the hundredths place. So 5 is in the hundredths place. When we look at that digit next to it, it is 5 or bigger, so we round up. So 2.36 per gallon of gas. So about 20 miles per gallon. That's the same thing. Let's see. A unit price is the same idea. It's the cost per 1 unit of something. So unit cost is very useful when we're comparing prices. So if you paid attention to HEB, or I think even Walmart does this, when they have a price of something, they will typically have the unit price. Notice that it says per ounce. So that's 26 cents per ounce. Find the unit cost. Round the answer to 3 decimal places when necessary. Dove liquid body wash costs $3.49 per or for 12 ounces, and we're going to find how much is that per ounce. So you're just going to divide 3.49 divided by 12, and that's the same thing as we were told how many places? 3 decimal places. So On my calculator, I'm getting this. And when I round, that's going to round to 3 decimal places. That would be 0.291 per ounce. So about 29 cents per ounce. Find the unit price for each to find the best buy, round to 3 decimal places. Okay, so what do we have here? 6 ounces of low-fat yogurt for 72 cents or 32 ounces for $1.62. There's a couple ways we could do this. Let's stick with the unit price way. So we'd be taking 72 cents for 6 ounces and divide that. So 0.72 divided by 6 would give us, this would be 12 cents per ounce. Over here, we have $1.62 for 32 ounce. So $1.62 divided by 32 is 5 cents per ounce. We were told to round to 3 decimal places. I think we're still 0.051. Let me go back and just check. 0.72 divided by 6. Yeah, it's exactly 0.12. Okay, so we can see this would be the cheaper deal, so we'd pick that one. Total number of prisoners in the U.S. increased steadily by a total of 344,000 in an 8-year period. Compute the rate representing the increase in the number of prisoners per year. That is pretty much asking for a unit rate. So 344,000. And I know that because per year implies 1 year. So remember, unit rate or unit cost is per 1 unit. So 344,000 in 8 years. How many would that be in 1 year? So we would just divide 344,000 divided by 8 is 43,000 per 1 year. And that was a short section. So just another reminder, ratio, what we did the last section, like quantities, a rate will have different unlike quantities. To find that unit rate or unit cost, it always means 1. So you would divide your numerator by denominator and get the cost of that unit or the cost of 1.